The very definition of a lion, its raw power, its predatory grace, is intrinsically linked to the hunt. But what if that core identity, that fundamental biological imperative, vanished overnight? What if, in a blink, every single lion on Earth, from the king of the African savanna to the most protected zoo specimen, suddenly became a herbivore? This isn't just a simple dietary change, it's a catastrophic rewrite of entire ecosystems, a biological earthquake rippling across continents with immediate, shocking, and ultimately devastating consequences. To truly grasp the enormity of this shift, we first need to understand the lion's place in the world as it exists today. Lions are apex predators, keystone species. This means their presence or absence dictates the health and balance of their entire environment. They stalk and bring down large herbivores like wildebeest, zebra, buffalo, and antelope. This isn't mere sport, it's a vital culling. Predators, like lions, target the old, the sick, and the weak. This natural selection keeps herbivore populations robust, prevents the spread of disease, and, critically, controls their numbers. Without these hunters, herbivores would proliferate unchecked, turning lush grasslands into barren dust bowls. The savanna, as we know it, is shaped by the constant dance between hunter and hunted. It's a delicate equilibrium, honed over millions of years of evolution, where every species plays a specific role, from the smallest beetle to the mighty lion. Now imagine that fateful moment. 1 second, a lion is eyeing a herd of impala, hunger gnawing at its gut. The next, a craving for fresh grass, for juicy leaves, overtakes it. Physiologically, this immediate switch would be agonizing. A lion's body is a finely tuned machine for carnivory. Its teeth are designed for tearing flesh and crushing bone, not grinding cellulose. Its digestive system is short, acidic, and optimized for breaking down meat, not the complex fibers of plants. Its powerful jaws, built for fatal bites, are ill-suited for the constant mastication required by herbivores. They would attempt to eat grass, twigs, leaves, anything green, but their bodies simply couldn't process it efficiently. Many would likely suffer severe malnutrition, even with stomachs full of plant matter, as their systems would be unable to extract sufficient nutrients from this alien diet. They would essentially be starving despite eating. Their initial attempts at feeding would be clumsy, inefficient, and likely quite painful. The first, most immediate impact would be on the lions themselves. A massive die-off would begin as countless individuals simply couldn't adapt quickly enough. Starvation would claim many. Those that survived would be weak, confused, and struggling. Their social structure, built around the communal hunt and the sharing of kills, would shatter. What does a pride do when the hunt is no longer an option? They might still stay together for protection, but their core purpose would vanish. Their roar, once a territorial claim and a warning, would lose its primal meaning in a world where meat was no longer on the menu. But the real drama unfolds beyond the lions themselves. Step 2 in this biological chain reaction, the herbivores. Without their primary predators, populations of wildebeest, zebra, buffalo, and various antelope species would explode. This wouldn't be a gradual increase, it would be exponential. Within just a few seasons, their numbers would swell to unprecedented levels. Picture vast, migrating herds, even larger than those we see today, sweeping across the savanna. This might sound idyllic, a land overflowing with life, but it's a mirage. These exploding herbivore populations would quickly overwhelm their food sources. Grasslands, the very foundation of the savanna ecosystem, would be decimated. Imagine millions of animals grazing relentlessly, day after day, year after year. Every blade of grass would be cropped short, every shrub stripped bare, every young tree gnawed down to a stump. The nutrient cycle, which relies on plant decomposition and renewal, would grind to a halt. We would see vast swaths of land turn from vibrant green to parched brown. This isn't just about aesthetics, it's about life itself. As the vegetation vanishes, several critical consequences emerge. Soil erosion would become rampant. With no root systems to hold the soil in place, seasonal rains, which are often torrential in these regions, would simply wash away the topsoil, carving gullies and leaving behind infertile ground. Water sources, once filtered by healthy plant life, would become choked with sediment and contaminated by the sheer volume of animal waste. Lakes and rivers would become murky, their aquatic life suffering from the altered conditions. The delicate balance of microclimates would shift, potentially exacerbating droughts. The pressure on remaining plant life would become unimaginable. Elephants, giraffes, and rhinoceroses, already facing their own challenges, would find their food supply dwindling, forcing them into even greater competition with the now dominant grazer populations. This competition would be fierce, leading to stress, conflict, and further declines in already vulnerable species. But the ripple spread even wider. Consider the impact on other carnivores and scavengers. Hyenas, wild dogs, cheetahs, and leopards, all part of the complex predatory web, rely on a steady supply of prey, often benefiting from the larger kills made by lions. With lions out of the picture as hunters, their specific niche would be left wide open. While some of these smaller predators might initially flourish on the increased number of available herbivores, the subsequent collapse of the plant base would eventually starve them out too. Hyenas, in particular, who often scavenge lion kills, would find their primary source of easy food gone. Vultures, the ultimate cleanup crew, would also suffer immensely. Without large carcasses to feast on, their populations would plummet, leading to more decaying animal matter lingering in the environment, further accelerating the spread of disease among the stressed and overcrowded herbivore herds. Disease, in fact, would become a terrifying reality. Overcrowded herbivore populations are breeding grounds for pathogens. With animals living in close proximity, constantly competing for dwindling resources, their immune systems would be compromised. Diseases that might normally be contained would spread like wildfire, devastating entire herds. This isn't just a concern for animals. Many zoonotic diseases, which can jump from animals to humans, could emerge or intensify, posing a serious threat to human health in surrounding communities. Imagine a highly contagious illness sweeping through millions of stressed wildebeest, then finding its way into livestock, and from there to people. Human populations living near these ecosystems would face unprecedented challenges. Exploding herbivore numbers would mean constant incursions into agricultural lands, destroying crops and livelihoods. Farmers would be forced to defend their fields against relentless waves of hungry animals, leading to increased human-wildlife conflict. Conservation efforts, once focused on protecting lions, would pivot desperately to controlling herbivore numbers, a task that would prove monumentally difficult, if not impossible, on such a scale. The very concept of national parks and wildlife reserves would be redefined, becoming vast, fenced-in grazing lots rather than diverse, balanced ecosystems. The long-term consequences paint an even bleaker picture. The beautiful, biodiverse African savanna, a place that has inspired countless nature documentaries and captured the human imagination, would transform into something unrecognizable. It would become a scarred, barren landscape, dominated by a few hardy, overpopulated herbivore species, struggling to survive on degraded land. Many species of plants and smaller animals would go extinct, unable to withstand the pressure. The delicate balance of seed dispersal, often aided by herbivores and even carnivores, think of fruits eaten and seeds later deposited, would be disrupted, further hindering plant regeneration. The reduced vegetation would also mean less carbon dioxide absorbed from the atmosphere, potentially contributing to localized climate changes and accelerating global warming trends, though this would be a secondary long-term effect. Even in zoos, the shift would be profound. Dedicated animal nutritionists would scramble to formulate plant-based diets for their lions, battling against millions of years of carnivorous evolution. The majestic beasts, once symbols of raw power, would become listless, their bodies struggling to cope, their natural instincts tragically misaligned with their new biological reality. The very purpose of their existence in captivity, to represent and conserve their wild counterparts, would be undermined. In essence, if all lions suddenly became herbivores, it wouldn't save any animals. It would trigger a cascade of ecological collapse that would ultimately doom many more species, including the herbivores themselves. It's a chilling reminder of the intricate web of life, where the removal of even a single, seemingly destructive piece, the predator, can unravel the entire system. It highlights the often unseen benefits of predation, the crucial role it plays in maintaining health, diversity, and stability. The sudden shift from hunter to grazer would not be a peaceful transition to a more gentle world. It would be an act of ecological self-sabotage, demonstrating that true balance often lies in the very forces we might perceive as brutal, a stark lesson in the unforgiving elegance of nature's design.